we're going to get into some very much needed routines, and especially our morning routines. 5 tips that I have been implementing in my morning routine, and typically you end up feeling slumped, you feel like you weren't productive if the first part of your day was not in alignment. What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining us in yet another episode here of Walking Manifestator. I'm your host, Pena, and in today's conversation, as promised in our last episode, we're going to get into some very much needed routines, and especially our morning routines, because if you do not conquer the first start of your day, typically what tends to happen is that you set the agenda for the rest of the day, and typically you end up feeling slumped, you feel like you weren't productive if the first part of your day was not in alignment. So I want to give you 5 tips that I have been implementing in my morning routine to ensure that you're really optimized for the best performance throughout your day. I'm also going to be creating another video pretty soon for you guys. Well, if you're listening, obviously a podcast as well, but I'm going to create another video podcast so that we can go over details of our gut health. Gut health is something super important that not most people recognize is actually the leading cause for you to feel depressed, for you to feel tired, for you to feel anxious. There's so many things that can actually be correlated with poor gut health. And I'm telling you from personal experience, the energy one was one that I can really resonate with. So we're going to get into that. But today, all of the morning routines that we're going to cover, every step that we're going to unfold, is really stuff that has helped me in getting my optimal performance started in the morning, and also so that I don't consume as much caffeine as I used to. And I say as much because, quite frankly, I actually don't drink nowhere near as much coffee as I used to. If you've listened to my podcast before, I, at one point, remember being in a networking event, literally sitting there, having my little espresso shots. I had about 8, if I can remember correctly. And that 8th one, yes, I could feel it. But the 7th one, it was still like, I felt fine. So that's how much addiction I had for caffeine. So if you can resonate with what I just said, this episode is going to be a good one for you. So with that being said, let's dive deep into the 5 tips that you want to make sure you're implementing starting tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this video, so that you can make sure your mornings are really at the best. So I'm gonna be referencing back here my little notes that I have for you guys, so that way we can have this as organized as possible, because I've been noticing that a lot of the times I speak from my heart and I share a lot of details with you guys because I'm passionate about it. But let's get a little more structured so that you guys have better references to go back to. Okay, so the first thing is, when you wake up, you need to ask yourself, what is the first thing you're doing? And something that most of you might agree with is you probably turn to whatever side you sleep on and wherever you have your phone, and you grab it and you start scrolling and you start looking at what Betty and John posted, and then you see that the person didn't text you back, or you see that they did text you back but it wasn't what they wanted to hear, and the list goes on from there. But the first thing that you already did, and I really want to make sure that I explain why this first part of your day is so important. The first thing you did by pulling out your phone and reminding yourself of your familiar past is avoiding the possibility of creating a new future. And I really want you to sit with that for a second. And I'm going to say it again. The moment that you are conditioning your brain to the familiar past is the moment that you're shutting the door to the new future. And the reason this is important and the reason I really resonate with this is because I was that person. I was a person that as soon as I would wake up, I would go on my phone, I would check my Instagram, I would check my TikTok, I would check my Facebook, I would go onto emails, and then I would go on to check to see if my assistant had replied. And then I just kind of went into this like dopamine rush hit to my brain. And then all of a sudden I'm going into the bathroom to brush my teeth, to do my business, and then the day goes on and on. So if you didn't give yourself the opportunity to create that new possibility first thing in the morning, what is happening is that you are putting yourself in a situation in which you have not primed your brain for that opportunity of attracting abundance, whatever abundance looks like for you, okay? Because abundance can be that you had just a rich, abundant morning with your little one before dropping him off at school. Or abundant can be that you had a very rich, nutritious breakfast. Or abundant can be that you manifested more money, right? But I think that something that most people don't talk about, especially when it comes to personal development, a lot of people are listening to the podcast, just like you're doing right now. And then they're still feeling drained throughout the day. And the reason for this is because you're not optimizing your morning. So the first step for you when you're waking up is I like to take deep breaths in to wake up my parasympathetic system. And what happens with this, and you can do it two ways. You can do a box technique, which basically means that you hold in for 4 seconds and then hold and release out for 8 seconds. Technically, some people say 4 seconds. However, if you're releasing for longer than you inhaled, it does something to your nervous system that allows it to relax further. There's all the science behind it. Or the one I also really enjoy is doing a quick 25 deep breaths. And that just looks something like holding it and then releasing it and then doing them back to back, 25 of them. Now, obviously, I am not a doctor, so please do this at your own risk. I don't want somebody to faint because they took some very quick deep breaths and didn't pace themselves. But what this is doing is allowing yourself to take deep breaths to really wake up the nervous system, wake up your cells, and really just tap into, which is the second step of my morning routine, gratitude. I like to give myself the opportunity to either journal about whatever it is that I see my day unfolding like, or I will give myself the opportunity to sit in a meditation and really just practice gratitude. And that can look something as simple as I woke up, I took my deep breaths in, I sit up in my bed, or I sit up and I have a little couch in my room. I'll sit there and I take some deep breaths and I'm just saying thank you to the universe, thank you to God, thank you for all the life, thank you for having the opportunity to wake up. And I just go down this like list that I've kind of created for myself. That list then bleeds into my step number 3, okay? So as I'm done, I've set my intention for the day. I have woken up my nervous system. I have woken up my mind, my soul, my essence. Then after I did my bed, I go into the restroom, okay? And do my business, brush my teeth, okay? And while I'm there brushing my teeth and I'm literally getting ready for my day, I start wiggling my hips. And this sounds crazy, but what it does, it's actually somatic dancing. And what it actually causes is for your body to release past and stored trauma. Look it up. It is one of the best techniques that you can do for your body. I remember watching this TikTok one time where this like older gal was basically practically about to hit the ground, trying to like, you know, shake her hips and like spread them apart because she was saying, they say that we hold trauma in our hips, so I'm about to break these hips. But it's true, okay? And it really is true. We hold a lot of trauma in our body. So maybe you already got over that past relationship or that person that said that mean thing to you. Your consciousness did, but your subconscious didn't, and your body most definitely didn't. And they have stored it in there. So when you do something like somatic dancing, you're releasing a lot of that stored energy. You can also do something like yoga if you're not into being weird like me. Yoga is also great. And because I already can hear you thinking, Alexa, I don't have time for that. That's amazing, but I don't have time. Okay, my dear, we need to stop with the excuses, because when there is a will, there is a way. And there's one thing that I can tell you, and we're going to actually be talking about that in one of our next episodes as well. So stick around for that. Discipline is the equivalent to you feeling this actual need to live. Because the moment that you're actually disciplined with yourself to show up for the things that you said you were going to do, it does something to your brain. And again, we'll go into it in our next podcast, not the next one, but the following. But it does something to your brain, and it actually directly corresponds to your will to live. So when you tell yourself, oh, it's because I don't have time, but you could have been disciplined to literally put your alarm 30 minutes before it was supposed to ring, that creates a new habit for you as you continue to do it. And the discipline is actually going to directly correlate to your confidence, which is going to directly correlate into that will to live. And this is where, when I have conversations with some of my clients, and I've heard it, especially moms, hey, Alexa, I have a kid and it's really busy. And you know what? I wish I could meditate, and I wish I could, do the journaling, but I just don't have time. Here is the thing. There's a lot of people out on YouTube that are going to give you the sweet love and tell you it's okay, pat yourself in the back and don't worry about it, do it, the next day and show up for yourself the next day. I am the type of personality that does like to show tough love, because sometimes the kind love doesn't get through to you. And sometimes you do need somebody that's going to tell you things how it is. And I am that person. So I would rather you tell me things how it is, that it's going to allow me to become a better version of myself, than stringing along a old toxic behavior that doesn't serve me, rather than you being my friend, and I'm doing little, bunny ears out here, and telling me what I want to hear, but you're not actually helping me be better. I don't need people like that in my corner, and you don't either. So when you create this idea in your mind about, well, it's because I can't do it because, and fill in the blank, the discipline that you have has just gone down. So I need you to reframe that and say, okay, this is something new. I haven't done it before. Don't say, I don't do this. Don't say it's too early. Don't say whatever else. Just say, this is something new. I haven't done it before. Let's see how it goes. That's something that I've learned to reframe in my mind, so that whenever I'm going to do something daunting that freaks me out in a way, or that I haven't done it before, starting to like self-sabotage myself because I haven't done it, I remind myself, it's okay. It's something new that we haven't done before. Your fourth step, and that for me is going to the gym. And you might be asking, Alexa, didn't you just like stretch right now and do your somatic dancing? Okay, when I'm telling you these steps, they happen within a span of 30 minutes. And that's why I always say that when there's a will, there's a way. Waking up, doing my deep breaths did not take more than 2 minutes. Going and doing my journaling did not take more than 10 minutes. And now going into my somatic dancing didn't take more than 5 minutes, because I am simply shaking my body to allow myself to be in this flow energy. Then as I go and take my little ones to school, get our things going, on our way, we're doing our affirmations. That's a big one for me. And affirmations is something that technically you want to remember from what you gave as a gratitude prompt in the morning, because it's helping you solidify that intention. So if I said something in the morning along the lines of, I am always divinely connected, divinely protected, divinely guided, I am going to solidify that even further as I am driving my kids to school, and we say it all together. We'll literally
create my reality because I am love. I am wisdom. I am intelligence. I am divinely guided. Divinely protected. Divinely connected. And I am blessed.
We'll literally be saying our affirmations, and for a good 10 minutes, we say an affirmation, we set our intention for the day, and then I either will play a podcast for us, or I'll put like a motivational little video for us, something that really just helps. And that's just like a little bonus tip for you that really helps you. And also when you have other people around you, especially if you have kids, so that your morning is not starting off with like negative chatter. Sometimes, I don't know if you give a ride to somebody, but I know that's happened to me. And I've mentioned to you guys, I take care of my grandparents, and sometimes I have to take my grandmother to her doctor's appointments. And sometimes, you know, she's her own personality and I love her to pieces, but sometimes she wants to talk about things that are really not positive and not really conducive to my environment. And it could be about, you know, something that's happened with somebody and I'm just not really interested, right? So a nice way for me to tell her that I don't want to talk about that anymore is actually, oh, look, did you hear this new song? Oh, look, did you hear this new podcast? And then that will segue into a whole other conversation. And it wasn't rude. It wasn't like, hey, don't talk about this because I don't want to hear about X, Y, and Z. It was, hey, let's focus on something else. Then when it comes to my last step for my morning, it's priming. And priming is something that I do. And let me just recap for you my morning so that you kind of know what this looks like and you change this for it to fit for your schedule. But I mentioned to you, after waking up, you get everything going with your breathing techniques, you get everything going with your journaling, you get everything going with your somatic dancing. Then if you have to, you know, take your kids or go to work or whatever the case is, obviously it might change. Maybe you're not able to go to the gym right after that, but if you are able to, fantastic. Then when you're about to get to work, okay, when you're about to do whatever it is that involves your full attention, you're gonna do this little technique that I learned from Tony Robbins and that I personally didn't know that's what I was already doing, but it's something that he's been doing and incorporating, and I love how much further he elaborates into it. But essentially, you're going to take deep breaths, start holding your hands up as high as you can, bringing that energy into your essence and literally breathing out. And the way I'm trying to explain it to you right now sounds a little weird. So we do have a actual exercise that we're going to be doing in Walking Manifestator, the community, this coming month. So if you're interested in joining, it will be free. So click down below for more details on that. But if not, just search online, go to Tony Robbins priming video and just find something that's going to help you with priming, because the premise for this is for you to set again the intention. You're going to wake up your system again. You're literally bringing all the three things that we just talked about earlier. You're doing the breath, you're doing the gratitude, and you're doing the shaking. So that's what priming is. That's why I was mentioning to you that it's kind of like a different way that he packaged it all together. Steps that were already helping me that I noticed were really impactful in my life. And now this priming little technique that he did is a great add-on for me to do right before I do anything that's going to require me to sit down or require me to pay additional attention. That boost that you get of oxygen to your brain, I am telling you, it's game changer. So these steps are essential when it comes to really making sure that you're getting the best out of your morning. And I know that sometimes life happens, and I know that, you know, we can't be perfect all the time, but I really want you guys to come back for the discipline podcast that we're going to be having, because when you realize how much you're letting yourself down every time that you break a promise to yourself, every time you tell yourself you're going to do something but you don't, how that's actually impacting you at a subconscious level is so crazy. And once you realize it, you can start changing it. It's pretty simple, you know? So I'm super excited. I have so many things to talk to you guys about. Another last thing before I let you guys go, we're going to be doing a new branch of Walking Manifestator. So it's actually going to be the Feminine Essence Talk, and this is going to be geared around all conversations for my females out there. And no, that does not mean that my guys are not invited. It's just going to be more geared around feminine energy work. And we're going to be doing those like vlogs. So I'm not going to be posting those on Walking Manifestator podcast. They're simply going to be on YouTube. And of course, for those of you that have been listening to our videos or listening to us on YouTube, we do have Walking Manifestator, the community. We have a ton of free resources out there for you. And I do want to let you know the difference between the feminine essence conversations that we're going to be having on YouTube are going to go a little bit further. So just as an example, stay tuned, because in the next couple of days, we're going to have a extended version of this conversation, which was all geared around your morning routines. But I go a little bit further in that video, covering things such as how to plan in advance, making sure that you have a weekly system versus like a yearly system, quarterly system. And that is already going to be published this week. So if that's something that you're interested in, I encourage you to go into Walking Manifestator on YouTube, follow us there so that you can be notified of when that video is released. And of course, as always, I am sending you many blessings. If nobody has told you this today, I love you, okay? Sending you all the love. You are extraordinary, you are capable, you are amazing, and you absolutely can have it all. Go out there and create the life you deserve. Be the walking manifestator that you are born to be.